Hey everybody, welcome back to the Passive Income Player channel. I want to talk about an interesting asset that a lot of people really don't understand and really find confusing. And the asset is knowledge. And I only really figured this out when some of my friends were talking about what's a scam. And I took a couple of things away from that they don't really know what a scam is. They can't differentiate between things they don't like and are refusing to understand, between what someone or what is actually a real scam. Some people say college is a scam. I think the time we're getting in and what it is now, it kind of really is, unless you're studying specialized law, medicine, or engineering. Well, what kind of brought this about was I was telling a family member, hey, I'm getting into content creation. I've gotten a course on how to improve that, editing, packaging, niches, thumbnails, etc. And I could just kind of see it, the look in their face. And they also said that they thought it was a scam. And then they even laughed at me and they said, oh, I can send you someone who can even scam you better, who's got this or that. And basically, I was telling them, hey, the person I'm talking about who's helping me in my content creation course, they specialize in content creation and working in the finance niche and other aspects. And what I figured out they really didn't know anything was by when they said they could send me someone who could scam me better or easier, they sent me a relationship dating coach guy. And I'm like, dude, what I kind of told them is the equivalent of me studying computer science in college, and they sent me a philosophy book. But I think the problem is they have some sort of anti Andrew Tate, like all courses are a scam. And I'm like, dude, a scam is when you're not getting your money's worth or value. If you are getting value from something, then by definition, it's not a scam. If you're getting value on how to grow your business and you've never started a business, then a business mentor would probably be really good for you. If you've got, if you're bad at cooking and you go to a cooking class, then that's not really a scam. But for some reason, I don't know why they couldn't just piece that together. And I'm wondering if it's some sort of arrogance or jealousy implied. And I'm just looking at them like, what is wrong with people? Why do they think everything is a scam when it's not? And I get maybe there's a worry of, oh, what's going to happen here? And I was just really shocked how they didn't really like, they were so quick to jump to this course is a scam. They completely sent me a different niche topic and then didn't even know anything about it. And I was really trying to explain to the person. So, in this community, along with this purchase, you're getting templates, information, videos, you're getting one on one help, workshop, ways to get unstuck from things. So, I'm like, oh, that's really worth what it's worth. But for some reason, they couldn't really figure out all what I was saying. And it's crazy to me how people think online courses are a scam. And I think it's maybe Andrew Tate who probably ruined this. And it's just shocking how my family member, they were saying how this guy's a scammer. And the person I was talking about had 40K subscribers. And the craziest thing is they were just downplaying that. Oh, he's only got 40K subscribers. Dude, how many do you have? I even remember a content creator like saying this. Go get 50 people and put it in your yard. That's a lot of people. And this guy's got 40,000. Dude, I know it's not 1,000,000 subscribers. And then there's the other thing. The person they sent me the dating relationship person who wasn't even related to my niece, they had close to 1,000,000 subscribers and they were calling them a scammer. And I'm like, dude, I know it's crazy. Maybe those people who have 40 plus K and million plus subscribers, maybe they know something about content you don't. I know it's crazy that it's completely infallible that they know something, but maybe they do. And it would probably be helpful if you were probably willing to learn something. I think that's the thing, like, even with my family member, he was so quick to just hear, like, YouTube or a course, and he was so quick to just think it was a scam. He wouldn't even, like he completely sent me the wrong niche. And I'm just like, dude, we couldn't even really have a constructive, real conversation on like what is a scam. So essentially, like from the whole conversation, I could really only take from that they thought this guy was a scammer because of his subscriber count. Because it was only 40K. And I didn't want to embarrass the guy or kind of like little bro him and be like, dude, how many subscribers do you have? And it was probably none. But it's crazy how he wanted to just say this guy was a scammer and never even know what I'm talking about. Just hear YouTube and course. And it's crazy that people aren't like that with college classes or other things, only when it's knowledge. I'm here to tell you, people, that's completely wrong. That's a broken mindset of hurt people. Hurt people think knowledge is a scam. Pay for knowledge is a scam. It's not. If you don't know something and you genuinely learn something and you're paying for that knowledge, that's not a scam. You're getting valuable information, but you have to be willing to receive it. You have to be willing to listen to that information to actually get somewhere. You just can't assume, oh, this thing is a scam because this is how this and that works. Even with crypto, yes, I know there are crypto scammers. That does not necessarily mean crypto itself is a scam. People can still get very wealthy from crypto. People can still trade crypto. And that's the thing I kind of hate with certain things. People blame the thing as a scam and because they really have some sort of problem with the person behind it to call them a scammer. Online courses aren't a scam. People just really have a problem with Andrew Tate is the real thing. Knowledge isn't a scam. They just have a problem with the person behind the thing teaching it or even charging for it. My family member thought, oh, this should be free or something. And I'm like, dude, if this guy had 100K plus subscribers and is doing this and that with his business and he's trying to teach you something, why do you think it should be free? And also, that's something I've also come to find with people when they're like, why is this course charging this? Why is this a $2,000 course? First of all, also, I didn't pay a $2,000 course. I have went to school and paid for high courses. What they were talking about in terms of the quote unquote scam was $50 a month, like mentorship. That's what they were saying was the scam. But what I mean is people charge high ticket courses more say for the other people because they'll take it seriously. What I've seen traders and like other coaches do is that if someone was telling you how to master trading and holding you accountable for the price of a Chick-fil-A meal, like 20 or 15 bucks, you wouldn't take it serious. You wouldn't come to that meeting. You wouldn't actually value or take into consideration the information. But oh, if it's 2, 3 grand, oh, you're gonna come there. You're gonna show up. You're gonna take notes. Same thing like with college. Like people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for degrees. Like I know people who went to schools that costed, I think 70, 60 grand a year for a bachelor's degree. And one of the things I see people doing is it's more about how are you taking that information serious? How are you acting on that course information? What is that course information? Like I was trying to tell my family member, like, oh, I'm getting one-on-one unstuck help with a YouTube expert. I really found that knowledge is one of the greatest assets there is. It might sound corny, but it's true. No one can ever take your mind away. If you actually learn how to trade from a trading course, no one can take that away, and that's very valuable. Just like if you learn it from a computer programming boot camp how to make websites, that's very valuable. That's a very valuable knowledge base. So, in today's episode, what I want to teach people is one of the greatest assets that they can have from nothing to something is their knowledge, building up their knowledge base. Today, we're in the age of AI and YouTube. There is essentially almost nothing you can't learn without dedication. I'm not saying you're going to make millions overnight or in a month, but if you don't know how to do something that is a high leverage skill or something you find interesting or maybe see a good chunk of money in, you can actually learn it. If you don't know business, learning like getting a business course from somebody and learning how to handle expenses and analyze competitors, that is worth probably $100 a month, especially if you're also talking to a business owner. So I think the best ways someone can get wealthy in this time and age is to be very knowledgeable. And that is also the most number one cure for any kind of scam feeling knowledge. Like me going to school and knowing engineering and knowing the CEOs I know and the investors and traders, I know how investing works. I know how returns work. What is a reasonable return? So I know if somebody's getting on YouTube and saying, hey, do this thing and you're going to make 1,000% in a month, as an investor, as an engineer, I know that's completely crazy. Can you make decent gains on certain months? Do certain stocks have high volatility? Yes. But what's also realistic and very likely? Like recently in the stock market, around the end of July, a lot of AI companies got hit really bad with Leopold and Aschenbrenner getting margin called on a lot of his equities. And that was due to leverage. I mean, from that is that his equities dropped, I think, 40, 30%. That's something that can happen in the stock market. If you're getting individual stock equities, a stock can go up and down 30%, 20%, 40%. It can go really huge downswings, upswings. But what's also realistic, no one can predict the future. And even the most high flyingest stocks don't rally for days on end or crash for days on end. So it's important to know, oh, what are you getting in this trade and what's your underlying asset? That's something I see people don't really understand. And that's how you can never really get scammed in the stock market. You have to know what you're buying. And I was recently talking to a new investor. He wasn't really evaluating what he was actually buying. He was like coming to me about SpaceX and he said, oh, I heard SpaceX is doing this with Elon Musk and doing this and that and making this and that. And I was like, dude, that's not exactly how it works. He was hearing some things, and I was trying to explain to him how stocks go up based on what people want and how stocks go down. And I was kind of telling him to make money on SpaceX or any of these stocks in general, you need to know what are you buying? What are you getting? Is this a fair evaluation for what you're getting. If it's not, you can be losing money. I think I said in a previous video, someone who got SpaceX at $20 is doing a lot better than someone who got SpaceX at $200. And I constantly try to explain you can't rush certain things. You have to be willing to put in the work in certain places. And some people, he didn't want to hear that. He didn't want to hear you need to study the stock and know what you're getting. I think he was just looking to me like what I find a lot of people sometimes call me for is just like what to buy, what's this, what's that, what is the best thing I can just put my money in. And I'm like, dude, you have to study what you think is a good place to put your money in. Do you see a good quality company on the market for sale? Or are you just hearing things? Do you actually know something? Using Cursor and being an engineer is completely different from you hearing that this company will go up just because that's what you want it to do. And that's why I was telling him because I felt he was just also trying to just give me his money so that I could use it on his behalf and invest for him. And I get that's a thing a lot of people want, but that also opens you up for a scam in a way. And I was trying to explain to him, I want you to use your own money, figure it out, and grow it yourself and know it that way. Nobody can ever take it from you. Nothing can ever happen you don't understand or get. And I think he actually got it, especially when I hammered home the part of you can't really, the stock market won't do a greater return than what you have on your knowledge. You might have $1 million in liquid cash, but you've never invested it, so it's going to feel completely different and new when you see, oh, I got Coca-Cola stock or I got Zoom stock and it's going up and down. And I think the best way for people to increase their knowledge is also apart from just using YouTube, is using AI to figure out what is your skill set, what's something you like doing, what are things that interest you. Like for me, for instance, I love business, I love numbers, I just love simple fun video games, and I love a little golf. So that's how I try to make my content or my videos around. And that's also how I try to improve my knowledge. What's some new business I can learn? Or how can I use AI in my business? One thing I see people constantly do is try to make AI the product. Like Alex Hormozy said, I see people trying to make an AI business when you don't need to make an AI business. You just need a business, and maybe AI can help with things. Maybe AI can help with designing content, creating ideas. AI can help with email delivery, maybe designing the website for the company, but the product can't be AI. The product needs to be you fixing the customer's problem. If you're a roofer, you can use AI to get faster quotes. Maybe instead of going to the location, you use, like what I've heard some people do, they use drones on the roof so that nobody has to get up on the roof of a big house and possibly fall. So it's easier on insurance, and it's just really easy to get a little drone and fly it around. And I'm not really too sure how mainstream that is, but I have heard of that. So that's something that interests me in business. Another thing that interests me in business because I'm an engineer, the Hugging Face hack. I know that a lot of engineers use Hugging Face to switch AI models in certain scenarios. Someone will want to use Grok for this, and someone will want to use Gemini for that, or Opus for this. And basically, Hugging Face helps with that. Like figuring out which model to use between which interactions and API calls, and as also how developers can keep their API tokens lower instead of having to go buy a bunch of models and maybe not use them. Hugging Face, I think, has a like better pricing model. But the main thing I want you to take from this episode on the channel is knowledge is an asset. The best way to get wealthy is to increase the value of that asset. You can use YouTube, courses, and AI to all increase your knowledge. Today, you don't need a fancy college degree that's 60 grand a year or 80 grand a year. You just need to figure out what's a valuable skill, figure out your market. What do you like to do? How can you make money from this? And AI can help figure out your skill set. YouTube can give you a vast knowledge base, like it has courses from MIT, Stanford, videos on streaming, on editing, on trading, on drawing, just anything. If you want to learn sewing, you can go to YouTube. And the best thing is a large chunk of these resources like YouTube and AI are very cheap. I always tell my friends I like YouTube Premium just because I feel it has a different algorithm and it's a huge knowledge base. It's basically like Super Yale. If I basically have Yale on demand, I don't want to deal with commercials interrupting like when I'm trying to learn something or take notes. And the AI model that I always recommend to people is just figuring out what do you really want to do. But a lot of them are really all the same and can do a lot. So you can either use Gemini or Claude. I use GPT, but I don't actually pay for ChatGPT just because I know a good chunk of its knowledge comes from Bing and Reddit. I prefer sticking to either Claude or Gemini, and then I like having Manus do things for me, but Claude can also do things for you through Claude Cowork. So it depends on what you're using the thing for or what kind of questions. But the top of my list, what I would recommend is Gemini, just because it's Google and it fits into a lot of people's ecosystem. And second would be Claude, just because the pricing is better. If Manus was like $20, I would say Manus, but Claude is also more enterprise connected and they're really cheap. Like this is 40 a month max, YouTube and Gemini. And basically you have 5 college degrees that can help you learn anything you could possibly ever know. And that's why I think it's one of the most valuable things that people don't realize. If you want to be wealthy, you need to increase your knowledge base. If your knowledge base is vast and you understand things, no one can ever scam you. Just imagine putting on a tire. If you know how to put on a tire and someone charges you $30 for it or $200, you know if you're getting scammed or not. You know how to put on a tire. You know what it takes to put on a tire and what it costs for a tire. But if you've never changed a tire before, it's very easy for someone to talk you into buying a $500 tire change. And even though it's $500, I don't even think that's necessarily a scam, as opposed to just really high pricing, if that makes sense. If you want to gain more knowledge on assets, check out more videos on the channel.